Good morning and welcome to Qdabra's weekly webinar. This is Patrick Hallstead speaking. I'm happy to have you all here. Today we're once again talking about the future of your, and it looks bright and cheerful here in these fall color schemes. Specifically, I need to share out my screen again here. Sorry about that. So today, once again, we are talking about the future of InfoPath, the future of your forms, and thank you very much, Brian. I am loud and clear. I'll try to not shout into the mic here. So why InfoPath 2016 by Qdabra? Well, your forms need a future. You've invested quite a bit of time and effort into them, and nobody has provided an alternative moving forward. Microsoft hasn't. They haven't announced it at Ignite this week, and nobody else has. So we decided a couple years ago to do that. And we've now got lots of customers using Forms Viewer, which is what we're calling InfoPath 2016. It's got new features. It makes your publishing easier. I'm going to show you that today in a demo. Also, it makes filling out the forms faster in the browser. We're also working on a designer, but today's focus will be on the actual filler, the browser-based form service we call Forms Viewer. And the demo today, we're going to look at team policies. It's interesting, not just because we're showing you this new technology, but also because it's got parallel workflow, it's got one-click approvals from email, and it's got parent-child, all the stuff that you know and love. Before we get started, let's just actually do a quick poll, because I've got a couple questions for you. And if I can do this correctly here, just very simple, just to get, get people kind of going here. What's the favorite thing about InfoPath? What's your favorite thing? And if I didn't have enough room for none of the above, so you got to pick one of these things. We'll give it a few more seconds here. And looks like we have 40% voted, 45%. Okay, that's great. We'll give it a few more seconds here. We're at 60-70%. Awesome. Quite a lot of you out there today. Thanks for joining me. So just to quickly recap, we are at 80%. I can create rich logic in my forms without code. That's awesome. And then about 12% of you are both forms look good and InfoPath can query submit web services. Well, thanks for playing that. We'll do one more quick poll here just to get us going, and that is what you don't like about InfoPath. And we'll just see what you all think about this. Obviously, for many of you, it's the Microsoft's waning support for it, although they have promised to support the 2013 Designer until 2025 now. And it looks like we've got about 30% voted. Okay, so keep going. We'll give it a couple more seconds here. And play-by-play by Patrick here. 62%, 72%, and it looks like most of you have chosen the first option. 13% for option 2, data sources are dastardly, and about the same percentage for two people can't design forms templates simultaneously. And then obviously the other stuff, 5 and 8% or so. So great, thanks for playing. That gives me some idea of where you're coming from here today. It's kind of fun too. So once again, we have this thing called Forms Viewer. It's an app. It's very easy to install and upgrade your forms to. It's zero to very minimal migration cost. I'm going to demo this today. And the first demo I'm going to show you is team policies. So without any further ado, let's do this. So here's a form library on SharePoint 365, and I'm going to click New here, and this is Chrome, but we can open this in IE as well. And this is opening a form that I developed last night. It's not the most beautiful form, but it's a form, and I've got some show help here. I've got quite a lot of help for you because you're going to be looking at this thing later. You might wonder what the heck I was doing. So this is a form to fill out a policy. So I'm going to type in, let's see, leave request policy. And the policy number, I'll just say 123, and the effective date is going to be today. And you can already see that this is slightly different than your typical experience here. We've got this rich text box in the browser, and the rich text has things like spell checking turned on. So if we go into, I think this option, nope, it's got to be one of these options here. Let's see, did I forget what I was doing? No, I didn't forget what I was doing. Well, I almost did, but there is a spell checking option here, right here. So if I type in some weird words, After a moment, you'll see that red squiggly appear. So some of you may not have realized that Form 0 also supports spell checking, which is not supported in InfoPath Form Services. This is just one of the many features. But for this policy today, we're going to say, please give at least 1 day for every, 1 week for every day you want off. And for example, if you're taking 1 week, please give 1 month notice or 5 weeks notice. Okay, I'm actually going to just do a quick highlighting here, and I'll just say thanks at the end and make this the highlight. I can change the style. I can change the font size. This is, what you would expect for a rich text box. And you can do bulleting, like you can add a bullet here. Okay, so this is a rich text box, and I'm going to send this out. We've got a small team. I've added a list of people that would approve the policy. We have more people here at Qdabra, but this is just a really short list. I just typed this in. So I'm going to send this to myself. I'm going to send this to Jimmy and Don. So we're going to submit this policy to a set number of users because for whatever reason, maybe you've got employees and subcontractors and you've got different groups of people, so you can select who you want to send it to. Okay, so we've just submitted the form. You can see that right there a few seconds ago I submitted that. Now what this form actually did, and I'll show you how it did it in a second, is it actually submitted child XMLs. Now when we're doing a parallel workflow approval, there's a couple different ways to do it. I'm just going to refresh. I've got another library here called Approve Policy, and you can see that I did a little bit of testing earlier. I'm going to refresh this library, and we should see a couple more items appear here. Okay, so you can see those 3 that I just submitted, modified by here. You can see that those 3 that I just checked, the form actually submitted 3 child XMLs. And the reason why this is cool is because it allows you to create a workflow on each one, send an email to them, and in fact, let's take a look at my email. Obviously, you don't want to look at my, we'll just see if it actually emailed me yet. And the benefit to this is that they can actually, the email workflow is going to send them a link to open a form, and it's going to be this form. Therefore, multiple people can open and approve the form at the same time. So it does essentially allow for simultaneous approvals, and in fact it's even easier than that because the form gives us a button here. Here's my email. It gives us a link to quickly approve it. I don't actually have to here. I got my policy there, and I'm just going to click here and just approve it. It's going to navigate me to Internet Explorer, and it's going to show me the form. And this actually does not require a login because we've encapsulated the user's the XML information on that link. Obviously, if they forwarded it to somebody else, then that person could approve for them. But you can see here that that person has now agreed to this policy, and of course it's launching IE. Let me show you what it looks like back for the policy person. So the policy admin then can go back to their form, the one they just submitted, and they can click on that form again, and they can see who's approved it. What it's doing is it's clearing that child library on open, and it's pretty simple stuff. It's just filtering on this guy, and it's showing that I did indeed approve it, and that is 8:13 a.m., so that is just a minute ago, actually less than a minute ago. So how does this all work? This is kind of cool because we're showing this parallel workflow. We're showing one-click approvals without having to log in, and we're doing this all without any code. So let's take a quick look at how this was implemented. Now I've got a form in the designer here. We're still using InfoPath Designer, of course, for these guys, although we are working on a browser-based designer for you in the future. This is the form in the designer, and you can see it's got a lot of text here to explain what we're doing, and it's hide show text, and then it's got this this stuff at the bottom. Now if you look at the submit button where all the action's happening, I've got essentially four rules and a couple formatting rules. 4 action rules. We're setting the submit date and time, and that includes the file name because we want to have something unique. we're actually copying that rich text. Something I did not mention was this, our new version of InfoPath has the ability to copy rich text, and we see that when I opened up that child form in IE a minute ago, is that I guess this is a different library, but if I go back to my email and just click on this link here, you'll see that it did get that rich text. It copied it over to the child form. This is kind of a neat feature. You can see that thanks was, of course, copied over. And the other thing it's doing is it's actually setting up and submitting the children. Now, what it's doing here is it's actually setting a value, a trigger value, on a repeating node. And this is actually kind of a cool trick. If we look at our data source, you'll see that we have a repeating structure here. This is a best practice. We want to have a normalized data source, a normalized schema, which means we can have any number of approvers. It doesn't have to be one, doesn't have to be two. It's not hard-coded to a specific number of approvers. And in order to submit all of those approvers, we just set the trigger. And the trigger then has a bunch of rules on it that sets the document values based on the current row if the checkbox is true. So if we've checked that person, it sets up these values, and then it just goes ahead and submits the child XML to the child library. In this case, we're using the QRules command, submit to SharePoint. Very simple command. It's one of the 45 included as new feature additions to InfoPath 2016, aka Forms Viewer. You're probably getting tired of me saying that. So that's a quick demo of the policy form. I've got one more demo for you, but let's just review the easy upgrade steps. I had a customer, one of our good customers in New York, email me yesterday, and he said, "Well, what do I got to do to get this thing installed?" So I replied with these 4 steps. You just download Forms Viewer from our InfoPath Dev site. Just go up to InfoPath Dev, and actually let me just log in here to InfoPath Dev and show you where you're going to go. It's underneath the downloads, so you'll go on downloads, and then on the right side you'll see we have Forms Viewer at the very bottom here, and you can just download this Forms Viewer app. There's one for Europe as well, and then you'll configure the link. So these are the top 2 items here are the ones that you want, and even though it says 1029, it's been updated more recently than 2015. So you'll just click on Forms Viewer application, and you'll download this app. This is an app file that you install into 365. It's pretty easy to do. There's instructions, of course, and then what you'll do is you'll click on the Forms Viewer app and you'll configure it. Let's take a look at that, because that's part of my second demo. So I have here the Forms Viewer app installed on my HR site, my Human Resources site, and you can see I've got quite a few forms I've uploaded here. So first off, the thing to mention is, let's take a look at approved policies, for example. Let's say we want to update the approved policies form. So let me go to show you the approved policies form, because I didn't show you that yet. This is yet another InfoPath form template. You got the parent, the policy form, and the child is the approved policy. Remember, that's important because we want to be able to allow simultaneous parallel approvals, and we want to be able to provide one-click approvals. So, okay, so here is this the right form? No, this is the wrong form. Let's see if I can get the right form here. Here it is. It's on the other screen. Okay, so here's my approved policy form. I actually took the InfoPath starter form and I modified it. I'll show you the starter form here in a second as well. And you can see the schema is very simple. It's got essentially 7 nodes: the approver, the date, the policy text, policy subject, the policy text, the procedure, and the parent name, the status, whether it's pending or approved, and then the actual name of the file that it's referring to. So this form, let's make a simple change to this. Let's just say that we want to change the text here to be purple. And okay, so we got purple text now, and we'll make it a little bigger. What the heck? We'll save this out. So when you republish a form in InfoPath, you have to go through the song and dance of I'm just going to call this V3. You have to go through the song and dance of file, publish. You know how this works. And then it's like literally a minute or two, and it's just a hassle because it takes so long. And you don't necessarily think it's a hassle because you're used to it. But if you compare this now to the ease of use of publishing here with Forms Viewer, is literally it's a drag and drop and it's an upload. And then I can quickly preview what I just uploaded by clicking on the open button. And this actually reduces the amount of time to develop forms significantly. And I was doing this last night. I did this like 20 times when I was trying to make changes to this form. And it was a huge benefit. So that's the first thing that's really nice about the new Forms Viewer in terms of fast publishing. You can just drag and drop forms out here, obviously, and then preview them, and it's a lot faster than going through the publish step. Now you can preview in InfoPath Designer, but that's going to give you a filler-based preview, so it's not going to be live. The definite difference here is that you're actually live when you preview it here in Forms Viewer. Now another thing to look at is when you upload a form, and let's just take a look at the one I'm going to show next, the InfoPath Starter form. I upload a sample here. We give you a diagnostics tab, and that's going to give you a quick look at your form. This diagnostics tab is interesting because it gives you statistics on your form. For example, how many fields you have, how complex the form is, how many data connections you have, how many views you have, if the form has code, any kind of Q rules you're using in the form. Q rules are a plug-in for InfoPath. And so on, right? But I want to draw your attention to this last tab here, this migration analysis. If you see this error, it means that your data source is incorrectly defined. It's not the best practice. It's not going to kill the form, but it just means that certain QRules commands may not work. And we can help you with that. We did a webinar 2 weeks ago on workarounds for this, along with the combo box and the multi-text, multi-list box issues, which are not supported currently in Forms Viewer. So you want to take a quick look at your diagnostics and see. Most of the time you won't have anything here. If I go back to the other forms, for example, and of course I need to go back to the manage templates here. If I go back to my policies form, for example, and take a look at that, the one I just uploaded this morning, we'll see that there is complete compatibility, and you can see that that one's good. There's some analysis we perform. Anyway, so take a look at the diagnostics tab. That's a great first indicator of whether your form is compatible, and if it's not, it's easy to fix it. It doesn't take a lot of time. So that's what I mean by minimal conversion. Finally, you're going to need to configure your library. We have a couple downloads. Actually, we have one form, one document that you're going to want to download, and that's called the FD links configure. So this is Forms Viewer links. And you'll want to download this configure links in library, and that steps you through the 5 to 10 minute process of configuring the links so that you can open the forms in Forms Viewer. So let's take another look at another form here. I've got this another form I wanted to show you real quick, and this form actually is my starter form, and this form comes with field tracking on by default. So every single time I tab out of a field, I have rules that run that add tracking information. So you can see that on the right. And I'm basically just auditing this on a field level. This is not a common situation, but we see it every once in a while. Look at this form in the in Internet Explorer. So this form actually uses Q rules, and let's go to this library, I believe. Okay, let's count all of us together: 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Things have gotten remarkably slower recently in 365 for forms with Q rules, and some of them don't even work. But this, for whatever reason, our site is still showing forms with Q rules. But it's not just Q rules. It's not just the open time. Let's take a look at this field here. So if I type in a value, we're going to run that logic basically to set the back end. Okay, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. My God, just to run this simple set action command, it's actually posting back to the server, and it's taking over 10 seconds, which is absolutely ridiculous. And you can see this, this field tracking here once again. If I give it one more value, it'll show me the history, the previous history of that field down below to kind of show you what it's doing, and it's showing me that, yeah, a few seconds ago I had Qdabra software in there as a previous value. And we'll try it one more time here just to show you that what it's doing. It's keeping track of the previous values for all of the fields in the form. Okay, well, you may say that, well, that's just the way it is. No, that's not true. It's actually a lot better in Forms here. Let's take a look. So I'm going to go back to open this form in Forms here. I'm just going to use the open option here because I don't necessarily need to submit it to a library. I'm just going to open it from the Manage Templates page. And I'm just going to, you can see that it opened up in like 3 seconds. And if I type in Qdabra here, now I want you to count. I'm going to hit tab right now. Oh, gee, could you count? I'm not sure. It's just so fast, it's ridiculous, right? So one of the other things we're doing here with Forms here is we're making your life a little bit more, well, we're making it your job a little bit easier to do because it's not taking as much time to do it, to fill out forms. So that's really one of the key benefits here of Forms here is this ability to quickly, we don't do anything, no postbacks to the server. We've implemented everything in the client. Even the load times are faster, and we hope that you're happy. We've got lots of customers that have actually noticed this and have commented on it. Since we released 1.2 about a month ago, we've made some significant performance increases. We're actually going to be increasing the load performance even more in the next release, which we're planning for the end of October, November. We're on 1.2, and things are going well. Once again, a lot of features in Forms here. This is what really makes Forms Viewer InfoPath 2016. We've added, you know, the 45 commands that you always wanted, submitting to a child list. I didn't show save attachments, but that's in there, copying data, passing a parameter. One thing in the email that I showed you earlier, there's actually a parameter as part of this link. If I hover over this, you can see it's got a bunch of junk here. At the very end, it's got something about approval and agreed equals true. I don't know if you can see that. We're passing a parameter to that form, that approval form, and then the approval form actually on open, let's see if I can show you that real quick. The approval form actually comes in and it, on load, it actually checks to see if the form is approved. So we've got a bunch of rules here, and one of the rules is to see if the data was approved. Obviously, it's getting the input parameters. It's setting up the library automatically. So some other stuff I didn't even mention it does. It dynamically configures itself. Where is the command that checks the get input parameter? I want to say it's, well, I don't think we put it on form load. Yeah, it's got to be on the finished loading rule. It's just there's a lot of rules here, and I need to find which one it is. And so these are the ones that automatically change the connection URL. That's not what I'm looking for. Actually, this is the wrong form. This is the starter form. No wonder I can't find it. Let's take a look at the actual approval form. Okay, so here's my approved policy form again. And if I go in here and look at the rules, you can see that auto approve, it's setting the command say this equals agreed if the result was true. So it checks for approval here. And it's using that QRules get input parameter command to check that key, that agreed key that we saw in the email link. If we hover over this again, you can see that at the very end here, there's that ampersand agreed equals true. It's hard to see it, but it is there. And that's checking here to see if that's agreed. And if it is agreed, it sets it to auto approve. So that's how we get the input parameter to automatically set the form without having the user have to do anything. They just click the link. So that's pretty cool. And just to round this out, we do have a couple limitations. And we've talked about this in the past. I'm not going to cover this. I'll just include this in the slide like I did for the last webinar. The cost is minimal. It's free to minimal. So it's free. The app is free for up to 500 opens per site per month. For high usage users, we have to charge you $69 a month, or there's a couple different plans, but they're all very inexpensive. They're not based on user. They're based on the site. So $70 a month per site gets you 2,000 opens per month per site. We have to charge you that because our service is running partially in Azure, and Microsoft charges us when we crunch your forms and display them for you. We're not storing anything on our server, but we have to pass it through there to do the crunching so that it's faster performance-wise for you, and also so that we can actually render it on the client. So that's pretty minimal. These are all up on Qdabra.com. If you look at Tools, Forms Viewer, you can go up there and see the pricing. But it's really inexpensive. Like I said, it is a freemium. It is free for most users, and if you're high usage, you'll pay us something monthly that's really small. In addition, we do provide support to help you convert your forms and to help you if you need somebody there at your beck and call. So that's pretty much it for my webinar this week. Any questions for me? We are trying to do these every week, and sometimes we don't quite get everything done and we have to postpone, but we are planning to do another one next week to show database integration, generating PDFs on the fly using the same forms I showed today. We'll probably improve them a little bit. But let's just go to the questions here for a second. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, Michael, thank you. I work in a government organization that has multiple domains. As a result, I have been developing primarily client-based forms to take advantage of cross-domain queries. Does FormsViewer support cross-domain queries? That's a great question. Cross-domain requires full trust, and one thing that's nice about FormsViewer is you've got this external option. So if you go back to the Manage Templates page, you can see that we've got anonymous here. You can open the form anonymously, and that's what you're going to use for that cross site. I'm pretty sure that because it's not doing any authentication, it's basically just opening the form and then submitting it to the site. Obviously, you can't submit to the site anonymously unless the site's configured, but you can query different sites by opening it anonymously. You can also configure the data connections to pass credentials in. So if you have sites that are in another domain, you can specify the credentials for them. And the way you do that is, I believe you have to go back to there's a credentials page here. If we go to Forms Viewer, there's a way to configure the credentials for those other domains. So you can do it either anonymously, or you can do it using the credential config page here, manage credentials, and you can add your credentials here and specify which sites it's going to call. So right here we only have that we have formsboard.com, which is what we use for some of our internal forms, and then we have a website site. So you can just add your sites here, and then you'd go in here and you'd configure them. And the way you configure them is you edit them and you'd add the information here to edit the credential. So you can definitely do that. It's kind of like universal data connections and secure restore, and we have that ability to do that. So I'm pretty sure, Michael, that we could handle that, but we'd have to look at that. Thanks, Marlon, for being here. It's great to have you here as always. I've seen a lot of people that that have come to webinars in the past. I want to thank you all for coming. We'll get this webinar up to YouTube and get the package out. We have a short, fun survey to ask you strange questions about space colonization. You'll definitely want to respond to that simple 4-question survey. And anyway, we'll be here again next week, hopefully. Thank you all for joining me. Are there any other questions? If not, I will shut it down. Hope you guys have a great day. Thank you.